The billionaire disguised as a janitor in his own mansion. The maid mocked him, then he removed his hat. Nobody in the mansion knew that the quiet janitor pushing a rusty cleaning cart through the marble halls was actually the owner. For 3 days, Daniel Blackwood, one of the richest men in the country, had walked through his own mansion wearing an old janitor's uniform, a faded cap, cheap glasses, and worn-out shoes. He had a reason for doing it. Daniel wanted to discover the truth about the people who worked for him. For years, he had trusted his employees. He believed that the people who served his family were loyal and honest. But recently, strange things had begun happening. Expensive items were disappearing. Household expenses were suddenly much higher. Employees were leaving without explanation. And whenever Daniel asked his management team about it, they always gave him the same answer. Everything is perfectly fine, Mr. Blackwood. But Daniel knew it wasn't. So he decided to disappear from the eyes of everyone who knew him. He would become invisible. He would become a man nobody respected. A man nobody feared. A man everyone thought was poor. And what he discovered would change the mansion forever. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us what you would have done if you were in Daniel's position. Daniel Blackwood was 48 years old and had built an enormous business empire. He owned luxury hotels, technology companies, apartment buildings, and several international investments. His name appeared regularly in business magazines. Whenever he attended an event, people surrounded him. Politicians wanted to meet him. Businessmen wanted to work with him. Strangers wanted photographs. But Daniel had learned something over the years. When people knew you were rich, they rarely showed you their true selves. They showed you the version of themselves they wanted you to see. That was why Daniel began questioning everything happening inside his mansion. His father had built the family estate decades earlier. The mansion was enormous, with dozens of rooms, beautiful gardens, a private library, a wine cellar, and a grand dining hall that could accommodate more than 50 guests. Daniel rarely lived there anymore because of his busy schedule. He spent most of his time traveling between his companies. That had been his first mistake. While he was busy building his empire, he had stopped paying attention to the people managing his home. Then one day, Daniel received an unexpected phone call. One of the longtime employees at the mansion had resigned. Her name was Mrs. Wilson. She had worked for Daniel's family for more than 20 years. Daniel immediately called her. "Why are you leaving?" There was a long silence. "I don't think I should talk about it, Mr. Blackwood." "Why not?" "I'm sorry, Mrs. Wilson, if something is wrong, you can tell me." Her voice became quiet. "Some things are better left unsaid." Then she ended the call. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about her words. The next morning, he made a decision. He would investigate the mansion himself. He hired a trusted actor to attend his business meetings and pretend to be him. Then Daniel changed his appearance. His normally expensive suit was replaced by a stained janitor's uniform. His polished shoes were replaced with old work boots. He wore cheap glasses and a faded cap. He even added a fake gray beard. When he looked into the mirror, he barely recognized himself. Daniel smiled. "Let's see what happens when nobody knows who I am." The next morning, he entered his own mansion through the servants' entrance. The head butler, Mr. Harris, was waiting. Mr. Harris had worked for the Blackwood family for 15 years. He looked Daniel up and down. "You are the temporary cleaner?" Daniel nodded. "Yes, sir." Mr. Harris pointed toward the cleaning cart. "Your job is to clean the west wing, the kitchen corridor, and the servants' staircase." "Understood. And stay away from the main hall when guests are present." Daniel nodded. "Of course." Mr. Harris walked away without another word. Daniel watched him. This was interesting. The butler had no idea he was speaking to his employer. And already, Daniel could feel the difference. Nobody treated him like an important person. Nobody smiled at him. Nobody asked him how he was. He was invisible. For the next several days, Daniel quietly observed everything. He noticed that some employees were treated badly. He noticed that the kitchen workers were often forced to work longer hours than necessary. He saw the head housekeeper yelling at younger employees. But he also noticed something more disturbing. Certain expensive objects were missing. A silver vase that had belonged to his grandmother was gone. Several bottles of rare wine had disappeared. A painting from a guest bedroom had been replaced with a cheap copy. Daniel said nothing. He simply watched. Then he met Emily. Emily Carter was 26 years old and had recently been hired as a maid. She was attractive, confident, and hardworking. But she had a problem. She judged people by their appearance. The first time she saw Daniel, she looked at his old uniform and laughed. "You must be the new janitor." Daniel smiled. "Yes." Emily looked at his cleaning cart. "You're blocking the hallway." "I apologize." "Then move." Daniel pushed the cart aside. Emily walked past him. A few minutes later, she came back. "Did you clean the West Wing?" "Not yet." "Why not?" "I was asked to clean the dining hall first." Emily rolled her eyes. "You're a janitor. You don't need to explain everything." Daniel calmly continued cleaning. Emily shook her head. "Some people are unbelievable." Daniel looked at her. "Why?" She smiled sarcastically. "Nothing." Then she walked away. Daniel didn't take the insult personally. He was here to observe. And Emily was showing him exactly what he wanted to see. Over the next few days, her behavior became worse. She complained about his work. She ordered him around. She laughed at his old clothes. One afternoon, Daniel was carrying a box of cleaning supplies when Emily stopped him. "Be careful." Daniel looked at her. "With what?" "That box." "Why?" "Because if you break something, you'll never be able to afford replacing it." Daniel stared at her. Emily laughed. "I'm joking." But Daniel knew she wasn't. He simply walked away. Later that afternoon, he heard Emily talking to another maid. "These rich people have no idea how difficult life is." The other maid looked confused. "You work for rich people?" Emily shrugged. "Exactly. That's why I know how they think." Daniel almost laughed. Emily had no idea that the man she was criticizing was standing only a few steps away. Then came the day Daniel discovered something serious. While cleaning the library, he noticed that one of the large paintings was slightly crooked. He moved it carefully. Behind the painting was a small envelope. Daniel opened it. Inside were receipts. The receipts showed that several expensive items from the mansion had been sold. The transactions had been authorized by the head butler. Daniel's expression changed. Someone had been stealing from him. That evening, Daniel contacted his private investigator. "Investigate Mr. Harris." "Anything specific?" "Everything." The investigation began, quietly, but Daniel continued his disguise. He wanted to know who else was involved. The next day, he noticed Mr. Harris meeting a stranger near the garage. The stranger handed him a folder. Daniel stood behind a column and listened. "The owner won't know," the stranger said. Mr. Harris replied, "He hardly comes here anymore." Daniel's hands tightened. So that was it. They believed his absence gave them freedom. They thought the mansion belonged to them. Daniel decided to wait. He wanted proof. A few days later, the mansion prepared for an important dinner. Several wealthy business partners were arriving. The staff rushed around the house. The halls were decorated with flowers. The dining room was polished. The crystal glasses were arranged perfectly. Daniel was cleaning the entrance hall when Emily suddenly appeared. "Stop." Daniel turned. "Yes. What are you doing here?" "I'm cleaning. This is the main entrance." "I know." "Then leave." Daniel looked at her. "I have orders to clean this area." Emily became irritated. "Who gave you those orders?" "The head housekeeper." "Well, I'm telling you to leave." Daniel calmly continued working. Emily stared at him. "Are you deaf?" "No." "Then why are you ignoring me?" Daniel placed his cleaning cloth on the cart. "Because I'm doing my job." Several employees nearby began watching. Emily felt embarrassed. Her voice became louder. "You're just a janitor. Don't act like you're important." The hallway suddenly became silent. Daniel slowly looked at her. "Just a janitor?" "Yes." Emily crossed her arms. "People like you should understand their place." Daniel looked around. The employees were uncomfortable. One young maid whispered, "Emily, that's enough." But Emily wasn't finished. She pointed toward Daniel. "Look at him. He probably thinks he's lucky just to work in a house like this." Daniel remained calm. Then he asked quietly, "Do you know who owns this mansion?" Emily laughed. "Of course." "Who?" "Daniel Blackwood." "And what do you think of him?" Emily shrugged. "He's probably arrogant." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Probably. Rich people are all the same." Daniel smiled. "Are they?" Emily nodded. "They think money makes them better than everyone else." Daniel reached up. His fingers touched the brim of his faded janitor's hat. The hallway became completely silent. Slowly, Daniel removed the hat. Then he took off his cheap glasses. Finally, he pulled away the fake gray beard. Emily's smile disappeared. The young maid gasped. Mr. Harris, who had just entered the hall, froze. Daniel looked directly at him. "Hello, Mr. Harris." The butler's face turned pale. "Mr. Blackwood." Daniel smiled. "Yes." Emily took a step backward. "No." Daniel looked at her. "Yes." Emily's face turned white. The man she had mocked for days was the owner of the mansion. The billionaire she had called arrogant. The person she had told to know his place. Daniel Blackwood, the actual owner. Emily couldn't speak. Daniel turned toward the employees. For 3 days, I have walked through this mansion wearing this uniform. He held up his janitor's hat. And I have learned more about my employees in those 3 days than I learned in 15 years. Nobody said a word. Daniel looked at Emily. You were right about one thing. She slowly looked up. What? People should never be judged by their clothes. Emily lowered her eyes. Daniel continued. But you were wrong about something else. What? You thought being a janitor made me less important. Daniel paused. A person's job does not determine their value. The words hit Emily hard. Daniel then turned toward Mr. Harris. But there are more serious matters to discuss. Mr. Harris began trembling. Mr. Blackwood, I can explain. I hope you can. Daniel's investigator had already gathered enough evidence. The missing artwork, the stolen wine, the altered financial records, the secret sales, everything led back to Mr. Harris. The butler had been working with an outside buyer. They had been stealing valuable items from the mansion and selling them. Mr. Harris had believed Daniel was too busy to notice. He was wrong. Daniel immediately dismissed him. The police investigation began soon afterward. But Daniel didn't stop there. He wanted to change the mansion completely. He discovered that several employees had been afraid to complain about unfair treatment. So he created new rules. Workers received proper schedules. They received regular breaks. They could report problems without fear. And Daniel personally apologized to the staff. I should have paid more attention, he told them. I was so busy building businesses that I forgot to take care of the people who helped maintain my home. The employees were surprised. They had never heard a billionaire apologize to them before. A few weeks later, Emily came to Daniel's office. She stood nervously outside the door. Come in, Daniel said. Emily entered. Mr. Blackwood, I wanted to apologize. Daniel nodded. For what? For everything. She looked down. I judged you because of your clothes. Daniel remained silent. I treated you badly because I thought you were poor. Daniel leaned back. Why did you think that made it acceptable? Emily had no answer. I don't know. Daniel looked at her. That's the lesson you should remember. Emily nodded. Daniel continued. You didn't treat me badly because you knew I was a bad person. You treated me badly because you thought I had nothing to offer you. Emily's eyes filled with regret. I understand. Daniel stood. Good. Emily turned to leave. Then Daniel stopped her. Emily. She looked back. Yes. You made a mistake. She waited. Everyone makes mistakes. Emily looked surprised. But, your mistake only matters if you refuse to learn from it. Emily nodded. I won't. And she didn't. Over the following months, Emily changed. She became kinder to the other employees. She helped younger workers. She stopped judging people by their appearance. Daniel noticed. Eventually, he promoted her to assistant house manager. Not because she had once been humiliated. Not because he felt sorry for her. But because she had genuinely changed. Years later, whenever new employees joined the mansion, Emily told them a story. She told them about a mysterious janitor who once walked through the mansion wearing old clothes. She told them about the day a billionaire removed his hat. But she always ended with the same lesson. Never judge someone by what they wear. Never treat someone badly because you think they are beneath you. And never forget that kindness is not reserved for the rich or powerful. The old janitor's uniform remained in a small closet inside the mansion. Daniel kept it as a reminder of the greatest lesson he had ever learned. Money can buy a mansion. Money can buy luxury. Money can buy influence. But money cannot buy character. And the way you treat someone who can do nothing for you reveals who you truly are. Because sometimes, the person you ignore is watching. Sometimes, the person you mock knows more than you think. And sometimes, the quiet person pushing a cleaning cart through the hallway is not a nobody at all. He may simply be waiting for the right moment to remove his hat.